Daniel Larsson tritt gegen den Weltranglisten 19. an. Der Mann hat im letzten Jahr seine ersten beiden PDC-Titel gewinnen können. Und er ist einer, der die große Bühne liebt, denn er ist der Rockstar Joe Cullen.
But Joe Cullen, he's admitted himself he's not too pleased with his form in 2018, particularly in the floor events. Has made 4 quarterfinals this year, but half of those have come on the European Tour. And it's something that he's earmarked, that he feels he should be progressing in, because he wants to be in the conversation for the Premier League, for the World Series, and winning an event like this would really aid his cause.
Yeah, it would do. And, you know, Joe Cullen is obviously a hugely talented player. He does have a couple of PDC ranking titles to his name, but both of those came in the old leisure centre darts, not in front of any crowds. And I, for one, think that Joe Cullen is at his most entertaining on a big stage. It's fantastic to watch. Got a swagger, got an arrogance about him.
So I was asked who I thought might be the next new European Tour winner, and I said the name Joe Cullen. Now, many people would have said Rob Cross is the obvious choice, or perhaps a Daryl Gurney or someone like that. But I just think that Joe Cullen does, as you said, produce his best stuff on the stage, and this Euro Tour is the perfect training ground for him to take the next step.
Yeah, and it's for a guy who, in the big TV stages, he never really performed. I mean, there was a long while where Joe Cullen, the only big major games that he was winning was the UK Open. That'll do for Joe Cullen, get the first leg on the board. But things have changed now, and we saw on the Euro Tour, even before he won those 2 titles last year, he was going deep into them. I mean, he's been in the semi-finals a number of times, and I think the first one was a good 3-4 years ago now.
Yeah, so he's been around that 7-8 seeding bracket as well, so it's often the world number 1 or 2 that's beaten him, one of the top 3 seeds in the tournament.
Yeah, he's got the game, we know that.
140.
It's just about it all coming together for him over the course of a weekend.
Well, the seedings for these tournaments, as Cullen shows that he's got the game, reflect the standard of play on the professional tour over the course of the last 12 months. And you see the number 7 next to Joe Cullen's name. A couple of caveats with the fact that the likes of Gary Anderson don't bother to enter the events.
Yeah, and he's not been very good on the Players' Championship Series this year, and he's admitted that. And you only have to look at his performances, the 5 first-round exits in the 8 Players' Championship events. He's averaging just a shade under 90. I mean, it's not what you expect from Joe Cullen. It certainly wasn't what he was doing last year.
Yeah, and I think you can add 3 to that from the UK Open qualifiers as well, first-round exits. But when he has made it through the first round, he's a couple of times managed to get to the quarterfinals. 144, a long shot.
So you require 18. Game short in the second leg.
Cullen cleans up. He didn't have it easy, did he, yesterday in his win against Luke Humphries? Went all the way down to a last leg decider.
Third leg, Joe, to throw first.
Yeah, I don't think either of them really played to their capabilities, did they? But it was another one of those gutsy things. And you know, sometimes players do go through spells of bad form.
140.
And, you know, ideally you want to come out of that by firing in a succession of ton-plus averages. Of course you do, but sometimes you don't. You've got to win ugly. And Joe Cullen has found ways to win games over the last few weeks, particularly on the Euro Tour, and in those runs to a few quarterfinals, as you say. where he hasn't been playing his best, but he found a way to win. And Cullen, who's just at his second 180 there, is one of those players who for so long people have talked about potential and talent and how when he's on, he's on. Well, that's not good enough, because when they're on, all of these players can be on and produce really great stuff. But it's doing it consistently and finding ways to win even when you're not playing your best. And Cullen is starting to do that on a more regular basis, I think. And that is what turns you in from a player who can do stuff to a player who does do stuff.
Well, so far in this one, it's a very professional display, a very good display from Joe Cullen. He's not really giving the Swede a sniff.
97.
Hasn't allowed him a dart at double in the first couple of legs. That trend set to continue, because that is an 11 darter.
Joe Cullen will flick Daniel to throw first.
And he's halfway there. Happens sometimes where, whether it's because a surprise has happened in the previous round, or in this occasion a bye for Daniel Larsson, where on paper your next match should be easier than the previous one.
97.
And that can be, we just saw with Max Hupp, he had to deal with the fact that he was the favourite for the match, and in recent weeks he's been the underdog and he's been thriving in that situation.
You know, Max
60.
keeps playing like he has been doing, keeps winning games, then he's going to have to deal with being the favourite a lot more often than he has been over the last few months.
97.
But Joe Cullen is number 7 seed. You know, he's now, and as a guy who's won a couple of titles, the tables have turned for him as well. He's no longer a player who could do something, might cause an upset. He's a player you expect to be in the final session of action.
What's happened this weekend, yeah, he should be getting to the quarterfinals. That's what his seeding suggests.
Yeah.
But what's happened this weekend is the top-seeded player in his section of the draw has been knocked out. So now Joe Cullen is expected to progress even further. Now, he has been doing that. He has been living up to the seedings in European Tour events. A real opportunity beckons for Joe Cullen today.
Yeah, it really does. And when you look at the games we've got to finish off the afternoon session, Gerwyn Price is coming back into a bit of form. He and Mentor Suljovic could be a belter of a game, that one. Rob Cross against Darren Webster both averaged between 103 and 104 yesterday. And if they both play like that, it's a difficult one to call.
55. You require 126.
Right now, this one looks like a very easy one to call, because Joe Cullen is all over Daniel Larsson like a cheap suit.
43.
Well, this time if Cullen doesn't go out, Larsson might get his first dart at double. Might only be a dart at the ball. Here's a dart at the bullseye.
58. And you require 8.
And the first small glimmer of hope for Larsson.
Oh dear. All right. Oh dear again.
72.
Messed it up, rescued it, and messed it up. And that means that Cullen will look at double 8.
17.
And fluff his lines. Would have been 4-0 double break of throw, and Daniel Larsson would find it very difficult to come back from that. But 3-1, very different situation.
Yep. Could have seen Daniel waving goodbye. So he might find a route back into this one.
60.
You just quoted Elton John.
Of course.
Why not? Why not?
60. 58.
Kind of subdued atmosphere after the fevered reception for Germany's number 1.
Well, it became kind of subdued during that match, because he didn't have an awful lot to cheer about. Max Hupp did fire in 5 of those during the course of the contest, but managed to miss 25 darts at double.
I was under the impression that it was 180s for show and doubles for dough.
In that match, it was more a case of 180s for sure. Doubles, oh no.
171.
Back-to-back perfect visits for the rock star. Leaves himself double 16 for a 13-dart leg and a commanding hold of throw. Larsson not even down to a finish.
Having to move. So he's throwing from a further
16.
distance. Daniel Larsson a long distance behind once again in the leg.
57. Joey requires 16.
Well, missed a couple at double 8 last leg. He does like double 4. But ever since somebody on Tinternet published some stats about Joe Cullen being the most reliable double 4 hitter, every time I've seen him on the streaming boards on the Players' Championship or here in the Euro Tour, he keeps missing it. Oh dear.
A couple of times Larsson has managed to
80.
ruin his finish chance with the first start, although he salvaged it earlier on. Now, double 2, that could be tricky, having to shift across again to open up the bed, as we call it.
No score. Daniel, you require 50.
Well, Joe Cullen taking the max hop approach to this game. Where you outscore your opponent, miss truckloads of doubles, and kind of offer an opportunity.
Well, he's up to 15 himself now.
He's on course to break the max hop record. Cullen can do a max hop and come through this one in a tighter than it needed to be game. It'll be some quarter final, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be still going on Monday.
We'll see about 13 180s and 7% on the doubles from the pair of them.
In a match that,
in a 6-5 thriller, almost certainly called by George Noble.
100.
I was going to suggest it finished 0-0.
There we go. It's not often you see somebody 3 times as good on the doubles, pretty much.
Well, a case, I think, of a player being dragged down by the performance levels of their opponent. It is difficult to keep up a supremely superior standard when your opponent's not chucking much at you. Speak to Michael van Gerwen. I need good games. I need my opponent to play well.
I suffer the same problem with my regular opponent in the Premier Inn League of darts. I mean, they'd be astronomical averages were it not for the shocking calibre of my opponent dragging my own game down.
Yeah, but these players still manage to get over the line and win the game.
Yeah, that is true. That's a fair criticism.
84. 164.
Now then. Now then. Ridiculous, isn't it? 15 darts missed at double, and Joe Cullen pops in a 164 on the bullseye, and you just knew. You knew it was going to happen.
A moment of class from Joe Cullen. Very similar to that bullseye finish that Max Hopp had. I know it was only for 92, but the dart they plonked in the 25 at the end of the match had severely obstructed the targets.
59.
And they say that football's a funny old game.
96. 85. 83. 100.
Well, Joe's just put on a show in the 164. Why not fire in a 180 to leave double 1?
130.
Boring, boring Joe Cullen. Give the people what they want.
What do we want now? 2 bull?
Well, I mean, he's better on the bullseye than the outer ring, so I'd say that's the sensible shot.
What's he doing?
36. Daniel, you recall 167.
This would be ridiculous.
This would be. Too ridiculous, even for this ludicrous game of darts.
100. You recall 16.
Double 8 then for Cullen. There it is, more like it. Raise the eyebrows from Cullen. He seemed as shocked as anybody else that went in first start. He's 1 leg away from setting up a quarter-final clash with Germany's number 1.
Yep, Van Gerwen v White, King v Smith,
60.
Hop v probably Joe Cullen, then Suljevic or Price against Cross or Darren Webster. That there are final 2 matches of the afternoon session.
140.
And all of the matches that are being teed up are becoming increasingly hard to call.
85.
I think we're in for a couple of belters to end the afternoon session here. And
121.
I mean, we'll have 3 quarterfinals set up at the end of this game. And I genuinely think, I know everybody will think, oh, Van Gerwen's going to steamroller Ian White, but it didn't happen last year. It was the other way round.
Yeah, and the performances that they've put on 100. This afternoon, Ian White was far, far superior.
Mervyn King and Michael Smith have both averaged round about that 100 mark. That's a difficult one to call.
King's already beaten a couple of top 10 players.
And that's a repeat of a Euro Tour final, of course, the one that King won at the Glasgow in Sindelfingen a few years back. Max Hopp and Joe Cullen are both missing doubles today so far. Cullen will be the favourite, but the German crowd could swing things. Assuming that he comes through this, and he set that up absolutely magnificently.
156.
Well, this would be magnificent. Incredible.
138.
A bridge too far. And does it spell the end for Daniel Larsson's stay in the German Darts Open? Well, Cullen doesn't like the lie. But he moved and he found a way, and he's found a way through to the quarterfinals once again on the European Tour. He will be tasked with toppling Max Hopp here in Germany. Can he progress even further this time around? Both men reached the last 8 in Munich. One of them will reach the last 4 tonight. Joe Cullen takes on Max Hopp this evening, but before that, we've got a couple of last 16 matches to finish off this afternoon session. Mensa Suljevic against Gerwin Price and Darren Webster against the world champion Rob Cross. They're coming up. We're going to catch a quick word with Joe Cullen first.
Joe Cullen bedeutet es das 3. Viertelfinale in Folge. Joe, congratulations. You played as good as you needed, right?
Yeah, I felt like I scored really well, but the doubling was... You can't swear, can you? No, it wasn't very good. Doubling was awful. The scoring's been there all weekend, to be fair, but no, I'm looking forward to the next game I won. That's the main thing.
3rd quarterfinal in a row on the European Tour. This time it's not Peter Wright.
Yeah, it's even worse. It's Max Hopp in Germany. It's even worse than Peter Wright.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. Max is playing well. The crowd is there.
Yeah, I tell you, the thing is, me and Max get on well. I'm genuinely really happy for him. He really puts in the work and he deserves everything he gets, and I'm looking forward to playing him.
We're looking forward to that too. Thank you very much. Joe Cullen, der Rockstar. Ist der Gegner von Max Hopp heute Abend. Joe hatte in Leverkusen und München die Viertelfinals gegen Peter Wright verloren. Und ich bekam das gestern noch mit. Hinter den Kulissen ging er direkt auf Peter Wright zu.